Welcome to another style study video. I am Matt, and in this session we are taking a look at style 4B Festbier. But before we get into the nitty gritty of it, I will never say that again, I apologize. Let me give my disclaimer and say that I do not represent the BJCP in any way, shape, or form. The BJCP does not authorize nor endorse this video series. This is purely my recording, the process and documenting, and a study guide to myself of working on my BJCP beer judge certification. Get a little tongue-tied when you throw in words that you really didn't need in your disclaimer. So, all right, Festbier. Let's start with the overall impression. A smooth, clean, pale German lager with a moderately strong malty flavor and a light hop character. Definitely balances strength and drinkability with a palate impression and finish that encourages drinking. Showcases elegant German malt flavors without becoming too heavy or filling. Moving on to the vital statistics before we look at the characters we're going to be searching for in our score sheet. We've got an SRM range of 4 to 7. IBUs range from 18 to 25. The original gravity goes from 1.054 to 1.057, and the finishing gravity is 1.010 to 1.012, with an ABV of 5.8 to 6.3%. All right, now, like I said, the characteristics that we're going to be filling out on our score sheet, or at least what we'll be looking for in our score sheet. If we don't find them, we should write what we find, of course. Aroma, moderate malty richness with an emphasis on a toasty-doughy aromatics and an impression of sweetness. Low to medium floral, herbal, or spicy hops. The malt should not have a deeply toasted caramel or biscuity quality. Clean lager fermentation character. Looking at appearance, deep yellow to deep gold color, should not have amber hues, bright clarity, persistent white to off-white foam stand. Most commercial examples are medium gold in color. Flavor, medium to medium high malty flavor initially with a lightly toasty bread dough quality and an impression of soft sweetness. Medium to medium low bitterness, definitely malty in the balance. Well attenuated and crisp but not dry. Medium low to medium floral, herbal, or spicy hop flavor. Clean lager fermentation character. The taste is mostly of Pils malt but with slightly toasty hints. The bitterness is supportive but should still yield a malty flavorful finish. And finally, mouthfeel, medium body with a smooth, somewhat creamy texture, medium carbonation, alcohol strength barely noticeable as warming, if at all. And of course, there are actually quite extensive comments, history, and the character ingredients, which you can find at the bjcp.org in the style guide download or the style guide entry in their development site, which by the time the rate I'm doing these videos might no longer be in development. But commercial examples. So, all right, I will do my best to read these. I won't do well. I'll warn you now and apologize now. Augustiner Oktoberfest, Hacker Shore Superior Festbier, Hofbrau Festbier, Lowenbrau Oktoberfest, Pauliner Weizen. I think I'm putting extra syllable in there. Schonreimer Gold, and Weihenstephaner Festbier. So, I don't remember if I'm doing so many videos tonight. I don't know if I said it in the last video or the opening of this video, but Festbier is a style I think I know well. We're going to find out. And a lot of that has to do with, and I don't have the numbers or data to back this up. It seems like most local breweries around here, or I should say, a majority of the local breweries, and that is, we're talking 51-49%, do a Festbier for Oktoberfest rather than a Märzen. I could be wrong. Like I said, I never recorded it. I don't have hard data to back that up. Maybe it's safer to say the breweries I go to during Oktoberfest seem to feature Festbier more. And there's rarely a time I don't enjoy it. So I've really, really come to like this style. And it's one I've been trying to make to the point that I'm proud enough of the result to send to competition. And I've not gotten there yet. I've had it where it's enough to show some friends and I would tell them here's what I would change about it and either agree or disagree. All depends on how much free beer they drank. but I've not gotten it to the point that I would like to enter the competition. So I did pick one. It's going to be very difficult for me to not find a Weihenstephaner Festbier I haven't had, but I don't recall the last time I had a Weihenstephaner Festbier, especially to the point of remembering the character. So even though this isn't going to be a brand new tasting of this particular beer, it's not fresh in my mind. I didn't have it last week. I didn't even have it this past October or September, more appropriately, I don't think. Well, there's a chance I did. Anyway, let's get to it. So, if you're new to the series, all the highlights you just saw on the screen are printed out in front of me. I'm going to do an initial tasting and let you know what I find as far as those are concerned. Then I'm going to pause the video, fill out a score sheet, and then come back and tell you what I wrote, be it good, bad, or indifferent. I was going to say ugly, but, well, my handwriting is pretty atrocious. All right, let's see here. Good hiss, as you'd expect from a commercial beer. Do a little more aggressive than I wanted to pour, but actually, that's exactly about where I'd want this for a demonstration. I'll pour more aggressively. That's what I call the competition pour when I get to the score sheet. So aroma, moderate malt, Toasty-doughy. Aromatics, low to medium hops, clean fermentation. Malts hit me in the nose before I even finished raising it to up to my nose. And there's definitely it's like a sourdoughy dough to it. So there's some, don't get too much toasty yet. Maybe I will later. Not picking out any particular hops yet. That usually does come to me, if it's going to come to me in the actual review tasting. Appearance, deep yellow to deep gold. That is definitely, at best, a deep yellow. It's definitely not a deep gold, but deep yellow. I think it's barely in the description, or then in style there, but still in there. Bright clarity, absolutely. I could, if I had a fish tank full of this, I could read right through it, and I'd have some very happy fish. Persistent white to off-white head. It's fallen to a collar, but it's a thicker collar than I've experienced in my last few beers, so the persistency is a little better in this than it has been. Flavor, I'm going to look for medium to medium high malt, medium to medium low bitterness, crisp but not dry, and medium to medium low hop flavor. Malt is always recognizable in a fest beer. A little bit of bitterness on the back of the palate, but not in the aftertaste like I expect. It's crisp. That is a perfect word for this. And not dry. It's not dry. It's not like a very highly attenuated, dried out beer at all. Crisp is a good word for it. Medium to low hop flavor. Not on the initial taste, but we'll take a deeper dive into the score sheet. Mouthfeel, medium body, smooth and creamy, medium carbonation. Body I'll have to kind of really think about, but the rest I would say is dead on in this description. So, all right, time to pause the video, fill out my score sheet, and then let you know what I've got. It's going to be about 12-minute process for me, but for you, it's going to be a little bit of elevator music, and I'll be right back. All right, we are back. Score sheet is filled out, almost as filled out as I like to make them. I did leave this one line empty, but when you hear the score, you will hear why that particular line is empty. So let's get to the details. So we have the usual information at the top. Category 4, subcategory B, subcategory spelled out Festbier, bottle inspection, check, comments, branded, cap, proper fill, good hiss on open. That's going to happen just about every example in these series. It's either going to be can or bottle fill. So let's get to, this is really what this is all about. Aroma. All right, bready malt base aroma with a noticeable sourdough bread character. Noble hop aroma detected. Slight saz or zats or says, depending how you pronounce that, like spiciness. Very faint clean lager yeast character, more noticeable at warmer temperatures, 11 out of 12. I say saz. I might be saying that wrong. I said saz-like spiciness because I didn't want to say you used saz in this, I can tell. I wanted to suggest what I picked up and I wanted to give an example. So that's why even though I specified a specific ingredient, I also quantified it with the word like, which I think is a safe thing to do in these. I'm trying to get more descriptive and paint a better picture to the person reading this. So just wanted to point that out. Hopefully more of that will come along as we go. Appearance, deep yellow in color, absolutely crystal clear. Medium frothy head that held several minutes into tasting, eventually falling to a thick collar, and a layer of tiny bubbles holding across the top of the beer. That's a lot of words to give it a 3 out of 3. I would love to say I'm not going to mention my thoughts on the appearance score being a 3 that much more in this series, but I can't promise that. Flavor, distinctly malt forward with a clean, rich, bready malt character over the tongue, palate, and finish. Noticeable hop bitterness present in the aftertaste, pleasant, noble hop spiciness balancing the malt. Lager yeast recognized, but very clean and very complementary to the entire flavor profile, 19 out of 20. Mouthfeel, medium bodied, medium to high carbonation. A light creaminess over the tongue, extremely pleasant. No harsh characters getting in the way of the overall texture and sensations. 5 out of 5 on that. Overall impression, absolutely delicious beer. Very clean, well balanced for style. If there was one thing I'd approach nitpicking about is that a slightly stronger hop bitterness would possibly complement this beer further. This was a pleasure to drink. Phenomenal job. I said that thing about the bitterness because of all the studying I've been doing and all the resources that are available. One thing that keeps repeating, not all the time, but often enough for me to do it in this score sheet, is that if it's not a 50, mention why it's not a 50. So that is why I put that last thing in there. And I do believe that. I think if this was just a touch more bitter, the flavor probably would have been 19 out of 20. It might have helped the aroma a little bit. And those are the only two things that I took points off for because this was a 48 out of 50. This was a phenomenal beer. That's what I said in the overall. I said absolutely delicious. Okay. No, I did say phenomenal job. All those words I said are in there somewhere. And I did circle the outstanding. And of course, we have classic example, flawless and wonderful. So very good beer. Very easy to judge. It's actually... I think a beer that approaches 50 is probably harder to judge than one that isn't because you're not really writing down what's wrong and how to fix it as often as you would when there's noticeable flaws. But I actually enjoyed this entire process this time. I always do, but this time more than average. I don't want to say than the rest, but more than the average because I enjoyed tasting the beer. I enjoyed writing about the beer. I think enjoying the beer opened up some ideas of some better descriptors, particularly with the hops. I was really proud of that. There's another phrase in here. I should have pointed out when I read it. I don't remember what it was. I was surprised I even came up with. And again, when I see improvement, or if I don't see 7 steps back, I consider that a win. And this time I think it's actually a fairly decent win for me personally. You might have a different opinion, and that's fine. All right, that is it for this video. I'll be back with the final beer for this style category, which I realize now, since I recorded them back to back, I didn't mention this is category 4, I believe, pale multi-European lagers. It's those words. I might have the order wrong. I never mentioned that in these 2 episodes. Well, I guess I did in this one. I didn't mention it in the first one. But there's one more to do. It's Hellesbock, which has always been an interesting one for me because all the examples I know, I would not consider pale, and we'll see how that holds up in the next video. But until then, I do have to say thank you for watching, and I'll be back with another style study session video very soon.